Hey everyone, CPO here, and I've got a new addition to the family I wanted to share with you, and yeah, why not? So this is a Glock 19, so if you're not a gun person or you're gun averse, this probably isn't the right video for you, but I do want to talk a little bit about this gun, why I chose it, where it comes from, and then what I've done to it to make it my gun. So first of all, safety first, safety check, both visual and physical inspection. There are no rounds, no magazine, and this thing is safe. So this is a Glock Model 19. This is a Generation 4. I was originally going to get a Generation 5 Glock. I went to the gun store to buy a Generation 5 Glock, and as it turns out, I didn't like it as much as this for two reasons. Number one, the little finger grooves in the Generation 4s that they did away with in the Generation 5s, it turns out on a Glock compact pistol, fits my hand perfectly. Like really fits my hand perfectly, to the point that it was almost uncomfortably square on the Generation 5. And I remember, this isn't my first Glock. I've owned three different Glocks, Glock 19, Glock 23, and a Glock 34 in my past. Carried all of those as a law enforcement officer. I did not like the brick grip, as everybody liked to refer to it. So I almost always had like a hoe grip or something else that actually added finger grooves. So I like the finger grooves and they fit my fingers perfectly. Now that is not true on the full-size Glocks. The Glock 17 doesn't feel good to me at all. Like the finger grooves don't line up with my fingers. So in that case, I would go with a Generation 5 over Generation 4. But for the Model 19, Generation 5 is actually the one I like the best. It just fits my hand very nicely. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is this one was a special one in the case that I noticed, and it took me a minute and I had to actually ask, but I'm like, is that gun gray? And sure enough, it is. This is a completely Cerakoted gray Glock. This is Sniper gray Cerakote. So now that I've told you that, you can see against some of the black components, it's just a subtle gray. It almost looks like the light's hitting it differently. It's just something different, something a little bit more interesting than the standard black pistol. So yeah, I really liked it, and you know, it was worth it to me to get a gray one. I just thought it was cool. So a couple things I've done to this already, which are, as far as I'm aware, the only things I'm going to do to it, aside from a possible addition of a red dot optic, which I'm still exploring. I'm waiting. There's a feature in a red dot sight that doesn't exist yet in the available options on the market, and when that happens, then I will probably put a red dot on this. But for now, I'm just waiting to see what the marketplace does. So things I do immediately, change the sights. So these are Ameriglo Spartan operators. What I like about these is they have that high visibility orange dot on the front sight. Actually, it's not even a dot, it's a big circle on the front sight, and it glows green tritium. The back sight is fairly nondescript unless it's glowing, so it's not distracting, and picking up that orange front sight is really easy in a variety of lighting conditions, as you can clearly see here. So the other thing I like about these is they have a really sharp face on the rear sight, so it can be used to rack the slide if I need to one-handed. Yeah, just something I like in a sight. Yeah, so night sights, first thing that will always go. If I don't end up buying it with factory night sights, I'm putting them on there first thing. So before I even picked this firearm up, I had ordered and had the dealer install these for me. The next addition that I made is this, the trigger. This is an Overwatch Precision Tack trigger. This does have the little bit of a curved bottom. The base is sort of turned up, and it's got the blue safety. So this is technically the blue line version, and 20% of all sales go to the COPS organization, the Concerns of Police Survivors. It's a nonprofit organization to help provide support for families and loved ones of law enforcement officers who are killed in the line of duty. So it's a pretty important cause. So what this trigger provides is a new trigger shoe. It's a flat trigger. You can see here it's got a pretty flat face. As a matter of fact, if I pull the trigger, Remember, we checked it, it's not loaded. You can see how it's a fairly flat design. What I like about that is the way it feels on my finger, and no matter where I grab it, if I go a little bit long or a little bit short, it still feels pretty much the same. I just like it over the factory Glock trigger, and it does have a little bit less pre-travel, so to hit the wall doesn't take you very far. It's got a pretty nice crisp break from the wall, and yeah, and then reset is normal. So it uses all standard Glock internal components. So the trigger bar is a Glock OEM trigger bar. It actually happens to be a Gen 3 trigger bar. There's some reasons why. The Gen 4 has a little bump on it that doesn't play as well with this trigger, so they give you a Gen 3 trigger bar, which is fine. It doesn't really change anything. My connector and springs, all that stuff is all the same inside. No non-Glock parts inside the trigger. I've been to a lot of firearms training courses, and I've done a lot of keeping up with that training community, and almost all of the failures in Glocks come from people using aftermarket triggers. The safest bet is always to have stock Glock internals. The trigger shoe is the exception. It doesn't really introduce anything that's going to change your potential reliability. It's akin to, you remember, you have a regular #2 pencil, and then they have those little rubber things that you can put on the end of the pencil to make it more comfortable to write with. It's kind of like that. It doesn't change the mechanics of the pencil or how it writes. It's just how you feel the pencil and how you control the pencils a little bit differently. But if you take that off, the pencil's just the same. Same thing with this. This is just how I interact with the trigger system, but the entire trigger system is still 100% factory Glock trigger system. So I like that. That's important to me. Plus, it has that little blue, kind of, again, personalized, make the gun mine. So yeah, and then the third thing that I've done is this right here. This is just it's an aluminum plug for this. Normally there's a little hole here, and some people plug them to keep stuff from getting inside. I don't really care about that. What I care about is there's a little wall here between the two sections of this grip area. And what I don't like is when my magazine catches that little wall in there. Now it's cut out, and in theory, you're not supposed to be able to hit it, but it happens. So this gives me a little aluminum ramp that ensures that if I get close, that magazine is going inside. Again, that's what I don't like about the Gen 5, is it's got that cut out there, which I do not like. So the Gen 4, combined with this little back plug, it gives me what I need out of a magazine well. So anyway, the gray gun, this, let me talk a little bit about this because there's not a lot of information about the Cerakoted all gray Glocks. Now, these are Cerakoted at the distributor. So again, this one was born in Austria, shipped from Glock directly to the distributor, which is Sport South in Louisiana. Sport South sends these out for Cerakoting, gets them all back. They're Cerakoted in a sniper gray, and then distributes them out to all the different dealers. And so that's where you can get it. You used to be able to get these all gray Glocks from a distributor called AccuSport. AccuSport used to be the one who distributed the all gray Glocks. I think they're out of business now. And then there's another distributor that distributes gray framed Glocks, that's Lipsey's, and they're out of Louisiana as well. And they don't sell the all gray ones. There's their two-tone black slide and then a gray polymer frame. And I don't like those as much. I don't like two-tone guns. That's just me. So getting this completely gray Cerakoted one was more interesting to me than even a gray polymer. You may not care, most people won't. It's the same thing with holsters. You know, I like a good-looking holster, even though nobody's ever gonna see it. It's the same reason why I pick the socks I wear and the underwear I wear, right? It's just personal preference. Anyway, too much information, I'm sure. Anyway, this is the new addition to the family. Yeah, I'm not gonna turn this into a gun channel, but I did want to show this off again because not a lot of information about the Sport South Sniper Gray pistols. So if you're looking and you're researching and you find this video because you were looking for information about the current production or the current availability of the gray Glocks, If it's all gray, it's probably from Sport South. If it's two-tone gray or has a gray polymer frame, not a Cerakoted frame, it's probably from Lipsy's, also in Louisiana, oddly enough. Or it's a custom job that some dealer had done or somebody else had done. But anyway, that's that. So yeah, this is my new carry gun. If you're interested in more about this, or you have questions, or you want me to do a different review, I've got a couple things in mind. So I have a law enforcement background. I was a SWAT guy for a while. I did some competitive shooting, IDPA, IPSC type stuff, mostly, you know, just for fun. But I do have some techniques I use for practicing, and I have an interesting way to do failure to feed drills. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, feel free to let me know in the comments. Depending on the interest, we'll decide on whether or not I do anything else, or if this is the only gun video I do. If you want to see my other guns, the polymer, you know, LCR or the Kimber TLE-RL2, you know, let me know. But yeah, I don't really mind showing you my guns if you really want to see them. But yeah, anyway, this is not going to be a gun channel. Don't worry, I'm not going to turn this into an exclusively gun channel, and I'm not going to teach you how to do things that are illegal or teach you how to assemble guns. You know, I'm going to try and stay within the policy requirements of YouTube, but I am a gun owner. I do carry a concealed firearm. I do it legally, and I encourage you, if you have the ability to legally carry a gun and that's something you're interested in, do it. Just make it legal. Be smart. Anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.